we all want to have a better looking app. I think that it brings us better opportunities to reach users, better opportunities to monetize. So we're going to talk about 5 design tips and tricks in under 10 minutes. Okay, tip number 1, make the best use of the controls available to you. So you might notice in Windows 10, we have a lot of new patterns, and we actually use them ourselves in different ways, which means in some devices we'll use one type of control, and then on a different size screen or a different device, we might change that to a different control. We actually aren't pushing patterns on you. We're not asking you to do things the way that we're doing them in our apps. We actually want you to be able to make those decisions yourself based on what is best for your users. We're also not pushing particular controls. So we're not saying pivot control is only for the phone and the hamburg menu is only for a desktop device. We want to leave that choice up to you so that you can create great user experiences. Choose the control that's best for your users, your content, and your situation. We do have a lot of great controls in Windows 10 available for you. Things like the relative panel and the split view, the pivot in tabs control, and the command bar. Some of these are things that are familiar to you from Windows 8.1. Some of them are going to be new as well. Again, pick the right control for the right job. And it doesn't have to be the same control across all your devices. Number 2 is to design in effective pixels. Now in the past, you've had some types of controls that work with effective pixels. Other ones that you had to determine the pixel size yourself. Well, when screen sizes and screen densities change and vary so much like they do in the world of Windows devices, we want you to write towards effective pixels. Now, effective pixels means that you say how many pixels you wanted on your screen, and then we'll resize it for all the different screens and different densities. Whenever you write in XAML, all of your code will be, or all of your numbers will be in effective pixels. When you write in HTML, they'll all be in CSS pixels. Whenever we do scaling, it's always on a 4x4 grid. So when you write your controls, whether it's one that you're using of ours or building one of yourselves, make sure that you have room for it to size based on a 4x4 grid. Again, the values, any value that you use in XAML now will be an effective pixel. Any CSS value that you use will be in HTML, in CSS pixels. Number 3 is to start small. We often have developers ask us, should I write for a large screen first and then scale it down to a smaller one? Or should I start with a small or maybe someplace in the middle and then branch it both ways? Well, we actually recommend that you start with small. And that way you're hitting the most difficult place to build a usable interface and then scale up when you have more screen real estate to work with. Another question we have is, what sizes should I target? Well, we have a recommendation that you should target 5-inch phones, 8-inch tablets, and 13-inch laptops, and then branch out from there for other screen sizes. Now, if you're thinking about moving your UWP app to a larger screen like an Xbox or a Surface Hub, then we also recommend you include a 40-inch TV and an 84-inch hub as well when you're designing for your different screens. Use standard responsive and adaptive techniques when you're building your interfaces. So here's some examples of those. Responsive is the first one. So in some senses, you may have your page that loads content side by side. Well, when you move to a smaller screen or a thinner window on your device, that content may be one above the other. The second one is to resize. Sometimes you'll be using that same content, but it'll be a different size. So on one page, it'll be a large version of that image or that control. On a smaller page, it'll be the same thing, just a smaller size. The third one is to reflow your content. Now, especially with text, it's most common that you'll have a single column of text on a phone so that you can easily scroll through it. But when you have a larger screen, reflow that into multiple columns so that you can utilize the entire screen. Reveal. There may be some content that on smaller devices is hidden because it's non-essential, but when you come into a larger device, you may be able to show that directly on the screen. Sometimes controls on a small device will be hidden behind a menu. On larger screens, they might be up, right on the initial page. Replace. Don't hesitate to replace content or controls. There might be one scenario you have on a larger screen, and you want to use a completely different scenario on your smaller screen. Find the controls, find the design, the experience that fits that control, even if it's different or completely different than what you have on another size. And last but not least is re-architect. We allow you to use completely different XAML or completely different HTML for different size screens or different devices. So feel free that if your experience doesn't lend itself to a smaller or to a larger scenario, then go ahead and use completely different XAML, completely different markup to control the experience. Okay, number 4 is use your own colors. Wouldn't believe the number of times that we at Microsoft see black apps with white boxes or white apps with black boxes. And a lot of that has to do because with Windows 8.1, we dictated a more tighter design language, and everyone tried to match the Metro interface and stick to things like boxes and simple colors. Well, we want to encourage you in Windows 10 to bring your branding into your application. Make your application stand out from the others in the markets and use color to do that. Now, if you're not a designer, like myself, then you may find these assets very useful. Color.adobe.com and colorlovers.com both not only provide you color choices, but color palettes so that you know which colors will work well together. Find ones that match the branding that you want to use, and then you'll know that any of those colors in that palette will work well together. And number 5, think about your design before you start coding. Don't write your application and then try to apply a design to it afterwards. Make sure that your design is well thought out and it matches the goals that you want to reach, and you're able to start that ahead of time so that you're not boxed into any particular design or branding based on the code that you've written. So here's an example of 2 applications that are both news applications. The top one looks like a news source. The bottom one looks like a source for jokes or for kids' comics or something. It's not really the branding that draws users in for that type of content. So make sure that that's well thought out ahead of time before you start your development. People will judge the quality of your app based on the design before they even download it. So those screenshots, those icons that you put in the store, make sure that they properly represent what you're trying to deliver. Modern design is no longer boxes.
Never was.
Never was. All right, for more information, go to design.windows.com. And that was 5 design tips in under 10 minutes. Thank you.